that loan, and they come back to you. When the bank they're using your money, using my money that I have deposited in the bank. Then they go to my government to take a treasury bill or bond that is not pegged on any project. Government takes it to eat it. Once they eat that money, the government comes to me and you and collects an exorbitant interest rate to pay for that loan. Now, interest rate is at 16%. When they take that interest rate of 16%, they do two things. Number one, you are burdened with a high interest rate that you're going to pay from your tax money. And number two, even if you wanted to do your own project as an individual, they know here I wanted to go and expand his food business. He goes to the bank tells him, they know, I will only give you a loan at an interest rate of 22%. Why? Because the bank prefers to lend money to government because government will pay for that money and will come back to the people of Kenya as a sovereign to cushion it. They know it's seen as now a credit risk. In fact, you're not even wanted in that banking space. Now, many Kenyans cannot access capital because of government borrowing illegally in the domestic market, burdening Kenyans with high interest rates and denying them an opportunity to even borrow for their own private ventures. That is why you are not seeing any development. What today, as we speak, what is stimulating development in this country? If government is not doing any project, where's the flow of money? When I'm not putting up, expanding my law firm, or somebody is not expanding his business, where's the flow of money? Because I go to a bank to take a loan to put up a fish farm in Kisumu. That bank will tell me they want an interest rate of 20%, 25%. Why? Because government is borrowing at 16%, 17%. They rather lend to government. Now, I cannot access that credit. The government money that was borrowed was used to Fuliza, to eat. Was not used to build a road, to build a bridge, to build a dam. It was all eaten. So we must be very careful as a country and decide, number one, any money that has been borrowed in our names that was not done in a way that conforms with our laws, that money, we have no responsibility to pay for it. It is an odious debt. If we go that route, and I do remember when I was in Mozambique, when President Nyusi had just been elected, there was something that had been taken similar to our Eurobond. It was called tuna bond. Again, $2 billion that was taken in the name of the people of Mozambique. The money never came into Mozambique. They were only told to pay for it. So some public-spirited members of the public, civil society groups, went to court and they sued their
I walked to KBC.
Their parliament
First, I found
that tuna bond is legal. We must pay for it. The AG was saying that tuna bond must be paid for. But the people of Mozambique were saying no. Where was parliamentary approval for tuna bond to be taken? Bring it to court. None existed. The court in Mozambique said that loan is illegal, it is odious, and the people of Mozambique will not have to pay for it. Do you know what happened? Credit Suisse collapsed. They had to pay that money. So even as we must look into our debt books and say, anybody who took money in our name without following our laws, you took money that didn't apply to any project. It is not the responsibility of the people of Kenya to pay for that loan. We must unshackle ourselves from this yoke of oppression, both internationally and locally. Internationally, they are the Eurobonders, that is the Paris Club, the London Sovereign Group. Locally are the domestic banks. We must start asking them, when you are taking a loan from the Kenyan government, what is the project that that loan is funding, number one? Number two, where is the parliamentary approval for that loan that allows government to float a bond or a bill? You saw William Ruto last week on TV when he was saying, because you rejected a finance bill, I will now borrow 1 trillion Kenya shillings. I mean, how can someone casually commit the people of Kenya to take a loan of 1 trillion Kenya shillings? He's not even told you what loan, what project does he want to fund. He's not even told you where the parliamentary approval, but he's telling you, I'm going to take a loan of 1 trillion Kenya shillings. You people of Kenya, you must pay for it. You must tell him no.
Where is KBC?
Of the rule of law.
And I found out it's on Harithuku Road. So I went to Broadcasting House and I saw the imposing gates of KBC. And then I saw these guys with red berets, the GSU, who are manning the gates of KBC. I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, so... but I saw a broadcaster walking out, and his name was John Arab Mayo. And he was walking out. I recognized him from seeing him reading the news on TV. I approached him at the gate and stopped him and introduced myself. I said, my name is Eric. I've just cleared high school. I'd like to do what you do. I'd like to go and study. Where is it that you studied? He was like, I can tell you where people study. Have you ever heard of KIMC? I was like, nope. There's Kenya Institute of Mass Communication. I was like, okay, where is it? It's in South Sea. Do you know where South Sea is? Yeah.
But on the social media, he does not have control over this particular platform.
I walked to KBC. First, I found out where is KBC. And
any politician who will come here or who will come to leadership in this country, even myself who has said I should be compared to Rigathi Gachagua, I believe I'm a better deputy president than him, if the time came. That politician must be told, you are not coming here to be our
Let's get the Institute of Mass Communication. It's like, okay, where is it? It's in South Sea. Do you know where South Sea is?
Kenyan people
yeah.
Space. You must hear that bullshit that they tell you every day. You must hear when they tell you fag off. You must hear it. You must respond to everything they're saying, whether you like it or not. I may not agree to the use of a particular type of language, but the Kenyan people who have put you in an office have a right to express themselves in the best way that they know how. If somebody's best way to express himself to say fuck off, then you must fuck off and listen to him. You must give him the respect to express himself, and you must do that which you believe is going to give him dignity when it comes to their governance. And finally, the point that you raised, Amerix, I say this. We must focus on the prize. The prize is a better governance. Kenya Kwanza may not give us that governance. And I urge our people, do not despair. When you see a regime using all the arsenals and all the tools that have been used before, just know that you're doing the right thing. They started with the police. The Kenyan people overwhelmed the police with love. They tried tear gas, they tried water cannons. It was overwhelming. They went for the army. You are told now the army is out on the streets. The Kenyan people are overwhelming the army with love. Because these are people who are just appearing with water bottles and flags, saying, we are fighting for a better Kenya. Now they've resorted to the last arsenal that's normally used by falling regimes, is to start getting goons to infiltrate, try to buy some of who are perceived to be the spear leaders or the ringleaders of the movement. That is not a leader, Amerix is not a leader, Deno is not a leader, Wanyakuri is not a leader, Otero was not a leader. There's nobody who is leading this thing. So they are finding it difficult to infiltrate. They will take one today, Osama today, but tomorrow a new Osama is going to be born. You'll find another, in fact, you kill one Osama, you take one Osama, 100 Osamas appear immediately to fill that gap. So we must guard this space jealously. Don't even spend too much energy crying over the fallen soldiers who will have been bought by the regime. Our tears should only be reserved for those of our Kenyans who've been killed, the Rex, the Baseless, the Dr. Margarets, who've died when fighting for a better Kenya for all of us. So let us please focus and let us make sure that we do not relent. And to our members of parliament, some of them who may be on this platform, you must now understand one thing. Power is in the hands of the people. Don't vote as a robot, that something is brought before you and you just vote. Sometimes you may have made a mistake. And I always say, when somebody makes a mistake, I'll forgive you the first time. But your conduct post that mistake. If, for example, the conflict of interest bill that was passed by a Senate, if some members feel that they never fully understood it, nothing stops you from bringing an amendment bill or even introducing amendments that furthers the good of the people. Take it back to Senate. Let us stop spending too much energy explaining ourselves out there for actions that you've done on the floor of the House and you're not correcting it. I, as a person, I have no faith at all in our parliament. In fact, where I sit, I believe when the Kenyan people occupied parliament, we were done with the parliament. And nothing will come out of that parliament that is for the benefit of the people of Kenya. We are done with it. Our next phase was to occupy State House, which William Ruto stopped by bringing the army and goons to infiltrate. An occupation of State House does not in any way mean an insurgency or a coup. It simply means the Kenyan people want a civil conversation on the manner in which they are going to be led. And let us not, when people say, I'm going to occupy parliament, we must, or I'm going to occupy state house, we must be very careful not to start sending fear or encouraging the police or the army to use guns. When somebody says we are going to occupy parliament, what you should be doing is asking the police, asking the parliamentary leadership, can you make sufficient arrangements for the group that is coming, that there's security for the members, there's security for the protester, who has a right under Article 37 to protest. When he comes to parliament, he's given a chance, he's given an opportunity to express himself. If you are going to set the parameter to be the gates of parliament, set it to be the gates of parliament. If it's going to be the lawns of parliament, set it to be the lawns of parliament. But you cannot say, if you come to parliament, we will kill you. And to say this, for these policemen who are currently being misused by the political administration to cause these deaths, I've been in a case, the Baby Pendo case, and in that case, we are suing policemen. We are suing former commanders, OCSS in Kisumu, the ones who killed protesters. They even clobbered Baby Pendo, a 2-month-old baby in her coat, baby coat. They killed that baby. Today we are in court. I've looked at all those policemen in the eye. I've seen the fright in their faces. They are being charged for crimes against humanity. They are being charged under the International Crimes Act. And their charging has been approved by the DPP. Those people are now crying in the Constitutional Court, asking, pleading not to be allowed to take plea. So even to Komi, even to Bungei, when you are deploying police and you're encouraging the killing of Kenyans, please note, when the time comes for you to answer for that, William Ruto, Kimani Ichung'wah, Ndindi Nyoro, or whoever you think is now sending you to do these things, or is protecting you, will not be there. You will carry your cross alone. Yebei is in court crying today over Baby Pendo. He is facing his day to answer to those charges. And we must document all these atrocities. The beauty is that criminal law, there is no limitation of action. I can sue you today, I can sue you tomorrow, I can even sue you 10 years today, even 30 years today. I can even wait for you to retire before I take you to court. And you will be called to answer to these charges. So anybody who's listening to me, if you come across any police atrocity, any misconduct by a unit sent, just collect the evidence. They may have the gun today, they may have the power today, but tomorrow they will not be holding that office. They will be called to account. And we must use all avenues available. I know there's a team of Kenyans who've even thought of going to the ICC so that the states can open an inquiry into Kenya, because what we witnessed, this is not police controlling riots or demonstrations. This is a case where somebody has issued an order to the police to go out to civilian population and to exterminate them. When you have men wearing balaclavas and running around in a double cabin pickup, and they're covering their faces, carrying assault weapons. That is a death squad. That is no longer about controlling crowds. That's no longer about providing police. And those are issues that we must take up to either our local courts or even higher courts. And we must push to the end. We cannot at any point, even me if I fall down and die today, this movement that the people of Kenya have started is bigger than me. It is bigger than William Ruto. It is bigger than Gachagua. It is bigger than anybody who has occupied this political space or anybody who has ever represented the people of Kenya. We must now give the people the right to determine their destiny. And that opportunity is here. Thank you very much, Amerix and the host. Unless there's any question, I'll hand over back the mic. Thank you.
All right. I have learned a lot. Thank you very much, Wakili, for that. I want to bring in, Salasia, we don't allow politicians to speak here because politicians have destroyed our country. Politicians have polluted our society. And you have requested me, you said you have something very important you want to say. And I listened to you because you voted no during when the finance bill came to the house of the floor of the parliament. Can you speak, Peter?
Asante. Kwanza, let me just begin by saying thanks for the platform that you have created. Indeed, when I just started listening from the word go when you gave your remarks. I was so much impressed because you touched somewhere whereby there is a mess. You know, we have been just trying to talk, but there is a place that where Amerix you touched so deep. And this is the where we need now to go. And this is the time. Because number one, all these problems that we are facing, it is because of we have lacked a parliament that is vibrant, a parliament that can hold executive on serious oversight. Because when the constitution was made, maybe I'm not good a historian, but you're all aware that we have 3 arms of government, and each arm has its own roles. And I remember when we met with the president as young parliamentarian, he told us that the young leaders when young parliamentarians some time back, that we should legislate. Our work is to legislate. But so surprisingly, you find like if there is a controversial bill that has to go through, you will find like the members you meet with, like you remember last time we had people like Narama, they had made a deliberation position that I'm going to vote no. But the moment these guys, they are called in the parliament, in the state house, when they come back from the state house, everything has changed. And that is why there is a point where you say that we need a referendum, a constitutional referendum, whereby we can separate the presidency. We cannot have a parliament that is an extended hand of an executive. Recently, you saw what just happened as a procedure of the House. We never have, we're not used to have, we always have the House business. Tuesday afternoon, then Wednesday from morning to evening, and then Thursday from 2 onwards. But if we want to have a sitting on Thursday morning, there is always a mover, and then we deliberate, and then we agree that the House is going to sit the following day. But it was very unprocedural that even most of us, we were not aware that you are going to have a sitting on that particular Thursday morning. But just because somebody has received instruction from the State House that we need to get the issue of the military, that now they have to pass it in the House, whether the opposition are there. So in the morning around 3, around 2, around 8, is when they are sending us message that we need to be in the House, when they have already themselves have been mobilized. There's this issue also they come up with, that the executive can even spend money, some money without the approval of the House that is outside the budget. And just because they received the instruction from another arm. There is another one that the government can go ahead and borrow money, even without there's a figure, without even notifying external borrowing, without notifying even the parliament. So you note that there is a problem, and this problem must be sorted out. There is no independence in the parliament. And that is why I just asked Amerix to request me to come in so that I can also explore, because we are there, like with the first time MP. Sometimes you will ask yourself, why are we not even be able to not to speak in the House? There are those, like there's one who say that there are those who they have stayed there, so they call them. That's why he told when I was going that I cannot be monolized here. I cannot be monolized whatever, and then I come here again, because there are those who call themselves veterans. So you have a burning issue, but to get a point to speak, and then it becomes another hell. And then there is this what you call the patronage of the parties, like parties, and that is where now we have to converse. That is where we have to speak about. Why is it that these members of parliament, like the opposition, this is not about only the government side, but even on the opposition. Even me, at one point, I was removed from a departmental committee just because of, I don't know, even I don't understand. And you ask myself, why did you? But it's because of some politics that was just happening. And then you also realize that even those who are in the Kenya Kwanza, they'll be told that you have to follow this direction. If not, you're going to be removed from the committees. So that is where we need also to have a conversation. Who gives the powers to nominate members into specific committees? And I want to also thank the LSK. And I was so much worried. I remember even I told I was worried if Faith Adhiambo will accept Odhiambo will accept the welcome to full Kenyans that they are trying to look at an inquiry commission to look at the issue to do with the debt position of this country. And I want to tell you that there is a report that was done, and this report was done by there is a committee that is there. It's a select committee called the Public Debt Committee that is mandated to look at the debts of a country. So when I heard about the president talking about that, he's forming an inquiry commission when I've never heard about. Yes.
Go on.
Yes. When I heard about him saying that he has formed an inquiry commission to go and look at this, that when we already have a report that implicated that the Eurobond money never came into this country, and people were paid, by the way, were paid. And so, again, what is really, that's why for those who have heard me speaking even on public rallies, in public, I ask myself a question. I'm not a good historian, but in 2013, I wasn't so much into politics. I was still in school, and I used to hear people like Thuge, where the Kamau Thuge were the PS of the finance by that time, very powerful PS. We had people like Narotich were there, Henry Rotich were the CS of finance. We had people like Miguna Ndungu, who was the central governor of the central bank. And so the same people, when the money from the Eurobond got lost, are the same people that have been rewarded these jobs as the economic advisors. They are the same people that now they are holding bigger positions in terms of holding the finances of this country. You ask yourself, there is what you call the Auditor General. And we also have the board of that governs the central bank of Kenya. Ask yourself, who is auditing the central bank? And that is being run by few people. But now the auditor cannot even audit the central bank. And yet that is the work. So those are the things that I think as the highlights of this, because this nation lies in your hands. And I'm happy that you have studied the dynamics of the politics of this country. That if we come and raise one person, say that this is our leader, then this person is going to suffer, will be under intimidation, will be bribing, will be all sorts of manner of, so that to make sure that the movement dies at a go. So when you, and that is why I want all of you to remain with that slogan. And I'm happy that most of the members, you are mark timing each member. And I'm happy when Boniface Menguwen was trying to do, you are able to bring him on board and tells him this is the direction that we want. I've heard about people like Robert Alai, being called on order. You have to make a position. You don't need to have someone to come and discourage the people, because these people, they're under, and again, you remember the last Finance Act of the Finance Bill, or the Finance Act of 2023. In the House, there is what you call the Business House Committee. The Business House Committee is the one that is mandated to give members on the business that are going to come into the House to be discussed. It is so much unfortunate that even it is unpredictable. If someone wants to pin you down, they will tell you that we are going to vote. Like last time, we have not been notified. Like we knew voting is going to be next week, but our leader who is there has not communicated to us, telling us that now there's going to be voting on this particular time and day and time, so that don't go away. So you just find at the moment the voting starts, and that's why finally in 2023 Finance Act, most of the people were in the house, but they never voted because walikuja wanafunga mlango, and that is it. So I just wanted to highlight those issues so that at least it can also give you direction as you. But this is the time for you to call upon the referendum and fix some of the things that you are seeing. Because look at the last thing that I just want to tell you, and I'm happy that this is the thing. I'm in the Committee of Agriculture. When I'm in this Committee of Agriculture, we were mandated to have a report, and we worked in all the cereals board in this country, trying to look at the facts that whether there was on the issues of the fertilizer, and indeed the report that we came up with, that there was a mess. The soil that was being sold to the Kenyans, the issue of the scandal of fertilizer. So when we brought this report on the parliament, they just put it there, that side. No one used it. And then these people are working scot-free. So thank you so much for bringing on for us.
Thank you very much. But I want to put it to you that the entire nation is so disappointed with the House. The entire nation is so angry with the parliament. And the only thing the nation wants right now is that parliament should be recalled, the whole of it. That parliament is a mess. Because from what you've told us, it's like parliament is now like business. It's like a market. You know, the person, the one you can buy is the one that will pass those bills. So we want that parliament to go home. It should be dissolved, all of it. We don't want it. And if they continue staying there, these young men will come back for them, and they will now remove them forcefully from those seats. So go and tell your members or your colleagues that we are so disappointed. We do not want anything to do with them. Degwanjiru.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Eric. Thank you very much, all the participants. I have keenly followed the debate since we began, and I have heard the encouragement that we are more focused than ever to make sure that we redeem this country, that we reclaim this country, that we rebuild this country. And the process of reclaiming and redeeming this country and rebuilding it requires a lot of self-sacrifice. It requires a lot of commitment. It requires a lot of gathering than scattering. It is therefore my appeal that during this very dire session that we have engaged ourselves in, that we try to gather as much as we can and scatter less as we can. Because all of us at this particular time, everybody matters to us. And now, moving forward, I have listened to my learned senior, Mr. Willis' submissions. I have also heard the sentiments of the host about the question of parliament. We have, I've heard the submissions about the question of the IBC, the public debts, and all those. I'll tackle each at a time. I would begin perhaps by tackling the question of the IBC and where we are at the moment. And what are we waiting for? Constitutionally, at the lapse of 14 days, whether William Ruto decides to sign to assent to the bill or not, the bill will become effective and will become law. But upon becoming law, how then do we move on, and how is a bill proposing to constitute the IBC? And that is where we should be focused at, or on. I submit that when you look at the bill, they changed the criteria of constituting the IBC. And they proposed that the constitution of the panel that will select the commissioners. They said, one, the political parties will have serious role in participating in the manner in which the commissioners will be selected. For example, the political party liaison committee, which is a liaison committee that is constituted of all the registered political party in this country, notwithstanding whether those political parties have complied with the Political Parties Act or not, they were granted an opportunity to appoint 3 representatives who will sit in the panel to select the commissioners. Kenya Kwanza was equally given 2 slots to select the commissioners. Azimio was equally given 2 slots. 1 slot, I think, is going to the public, members of the public. But the question is, this is a very important panel that will reconstitute the IBC. We are in this mess because the IBC decided to ramble down our elections. The IBC decided to take the direction they took. So are we waiting and are we watching the country taking the same route of constituting an IBC that perhaps may not have the integrity that is required to oversee a secure, a fair, a free and fair elections? I am calling upon you, brothers and sisters, that we focus on these particular panels. The panel is the one that is mandated to appoint the IBC commissioners. Who will sit in those particular panels? Who will sit there? Because the person of who sits determines how the election will be conducted in the future. Equally, it will also determine whether or not the commissioners that shall be constituted will be people of integrity, people who meet chapter 6 of the Constitution. That is to mean, even if we were to say that we are now beginning to recall our members of parliament, again, the IBC, which is the commissioners, will play a major role. So I am calling upon you to be on watch and on the outlook as to which individuals will sit in those particular, in that particular panel for selecting the IBC. Number 2, on the question of parliament. Yes, it is true, parliament has failed this country. It is true, parliament is an extension of the executive. It is true that parliament is a moribund. In fact, Baba keeps on saying Nihanisi. But the question is, strategically, what should we focus on first? Should we focus on the ineptness of parliament, or should we focus on making sure that William Ruto goes? And then if we are therefore to look at those 2 dynamics, if we are to say that William Ruto must go, 1, by way of resignation, if you look at Article 146, which calls or which speak about the resignation of parliament, it is constitutionally incumbent that a resignation of a president cannot be tendered in the absence of parliament, because the Constitution says that it is the Speaker of the National Assembly who shall receive that resignation in the event it arises. I do not see in my own thinking William Ruto ever tendering his resignation. Ako na kichwa ngumu sana, huyo mtu hawezi resign. So the question of resignation is almost a tall order for us to keep on pushing on it. But the other question is, do we have other constitutional tools that are available in the Constitution that we can roll into motion to make sure that William Ruto does not get to 2027? Because that is our issue. I submit that yes, we have a constitutional tool that the people can use, and it is a tool of impeachment. If we are to say we shall apply the tool of impeachment to take William Ruto home, whom or who shall participate in this process of impeachment? Again, it is Parliament. Parliament plays the major role. It becomes the playing ground where this impeachment will be manifested. So you realize that if we focus on Parliament and we focus on William Ruto, then we shall be losing the battleground in those two fronts. In my view, Parliament as it is currently can be redeemed. And it can be redeemed from William Ruto by applying a lot of pressure on them to make sure that they were elected for purposes of representation of the people and not to represent William Ruto. I have seen a lot of I've seen a lot of serious paradigm shift from the members of parliament, from how they behaved when the bill was in parliament, how they behaved when they passed the bill, and how they have now behaved when William Ruto declined to assent to the bill. They are actually apologetic. I have also seen a paradigm shift because ya historia kusalimiwa kila wakati. So it looks like if parliament is pushed to a corner, it looks like they can take a route. They can take a turn and start supporting the people. That is to mean, therefore, if we are to take the tool of impeachment as a tool of making sure that William Ruto does not get to 2027, as a means of dislodging William Ruto, Parliament becomes an integral player, and we can make sure that we push them the way we push the finance bill, so that they may then vote with the people. That will also give some impetus and some vocal point to the revolution. Remember, the revolution is fizzling out because we do not have a vocal point. We do not have something mali tunalenga sisi wote. When the revolution was high and up in arms and in high spirits, we were all focused on the action of parliament in respect to the finance bill. If we give parliament another burden of impeaching William Ruto, it means that it is going to rekindle the spirit of the revolution, and the people will start focusing on the question of impeaching William Ruto. We will go to the streets saying impeach, impeach. We will go to occupy parliament again to tell them you must impeach William Ruto this time round. So that becomes, in my view, becomes another way of rejuvenating the spirit of the revolution. The final one is where we are saying that number one, the resignation has failed. Number two, impeachment has failed. Then we go to factory setting. We go to the second Tuesday of August, 2027, where we are saying then William Ruto will go out by the way of the ballot. Then the question is, are we then prepared for the ballot? That is to mean if option one, resignation fails, option two, impeachment fails, we go to the constitutional tool of the elections. How have we prepared our people for option three? Where option three will be the climatization of the entire revolution and the manifestation of the results of the revolution. In my view, I do not think that we are taking proper actions and proper steps towards preparing ourselves for the 2027 elections. In my view, we need to make sure that people get the most crucial tool of making them ready for 2027, and that is the national identity card. The national identity card is the key to the warehouse that will send William Ruto home. How many Gen Zs have registered as a citizen of the Republic of Kenya? The other question is, do we have the facilities that are capable of producing all the IDs that are pending between today and 2027? And don't you think William Ruto will sabotage our revolution, devolve the process of registration of the people to the counties, or to the most minute level that people can easily and expeditiously get registered? That is to mean the equipment that generates the IDs must be removed from Nyayo House, be taken to where people can easily collect them. It should be our priority to push that IDs be issued as many as we can. But again, that William Ruto will sabotage because he knows that is a tool that he cannot evade. The other question is, when you look at the question of the Election Act and the role of the people requirement to register as a voter, I was asking myself today, how many things am I able to do as a Kenyan on the face or the fact of just holding an identity card? If I have an ID, I can get a visa. If I have an ID, I can withdraw M-Pesa. If I have an ID, I can do a lot of things. Why is it so difficult, and why is it a requirement that for me to vote, I must be registered? I must have a vote. I must have. There must be a rigorous process which must be rolled in a clandestine manner for me to be able to vote. What is the role of the ID? Why can't I just go and vote? Why can't the register be generated on that basis? That if you have an ID, you are registered to vote. Those are some of the things that we might think and might impact or call for the amendment of the entire electoral laws. We have made various proposals in that respect about the question of how the elections can be expedited and how everybody can be involved in the process of the elections. As I sum up, I've had the latter speaker, the member Silasia, speak about a referendum. In my view, we are not yet ready for that. If we say that we want to take the country to a referendum, we'll be losing our eyes from the ball. We'll not be able to keep the eyes on the ball. The eyes on the ball is the fate this country, is where William has taken this country. We must fix William Ruto if we want to fix the country. If you want to fix the economy of this country, fix William Ruto. If you want to fix the education system of this country, fix William Ruto. If you want to fix the agricultural sector of this country, fix William Ruto. If you want to fix the transport industry, fix William Ruto. If you want to fix the manufacturing industry, fix William Ruto. William is a problem that this country has. It's a cancer that is ailing this country. And therefore, at the moment, our focus should be, how do we get William Ruto out of office? We have, in the past, been able to put a spirited fight in court, if I may report. For example, there's a pending matter that is before the court today about the finance bill and about the participation of the IMF. We have gone to court asking the Treasury not to sign any further agreement, either with the IMF or with the World Bank. That matter was reported in the Standard today. I am actually the petitioner, the Mount Kenya jurist, which the chairman is also the petitioner, another group of advocates. So we are saying that we should be able to push for change from our own perspective and from where we are. For example, Willis has made very, very, very able submissions in respect to the extermination of young people by the police. We must be able to tell the country that we have other international instruments that can be able to address the kind of the extermination that the country is doing to the young people in the absence of a domestic remedy. That is to mean, and I echo his words, that we must be able to collect all this evidence. And we must be able to give them a periodic ultimatum that if you will not have prosecuted or charged these guys who are responsible for this within a specific period of time, then we shall be able to put into motion other international instruments. As at now, we should have actually written a letter to the ICC informing them of the situation that is unfolding in the Republic of Kenya, so that these guys understand that you're not just depending on the IPOA or depending on the DPP or depending on the DCI to investigate. The world has become a global stage, so that they understand that in the absence of your investigation, we have other international instruments playing that role. I agree with Willis that when a police officer retires, haidangi nyumbani na hizo bunduki, anaenda kivyake, and we shall go for them where they shall be at the time when these processes shall be unfolding. In my final submission, it is true that if you took a debt and the debt was registered in our books, and the data is not reflected in this country anywhere in either project, then you should be prima facie liable for that particular debt. The country should not be made to carry the burden of those individuals who enriched themselves with our public money. The moment you go and take a debt to enrich yourself, you have breached the social contract between myself and yourself. That is to mean the liabilities that accrues therefrom from that particular debt are accrues to you as an individual and not to us as a nation. And finally, what is this William is saying? That is appointing a task force to review the debts. What was he paying? Hasn't he told us that he has been paying debts? Kwani amekuwa akilipa nini? Has he been paying things that he does not understand, and things that he does not know? So in my view, huyu jamaa anatuchezea. We should keep the fire burning. We need to move on. We need to fix William Ruto, and we need to make sure that he understands the question of the sovereignty of the people. The sovereignty of the people is supreme, and that is why we're able to address you at this particular time freely. The moment we dim this light, the moment we fail to support the movement of the revolution, I think the revolution will fizzle out. The young people will get fatigued, and then they will lose the cause. So we must also begin to call other people who are not directly involved in the revolution to also take part by ghost laws. We need even to have strategies of serious economic sabotage. If we know that unauzanga mayai na hii mayai yako inakujanga supermarket fulani, we should be able to have a strategy of economic sabotage. It worked very well in America during the civil rights movements. People boycotted, and the effect was felt. If we know a company that sells particular kama ni soda inauzanga, na wewe umetoka huko America na umepewa debt yako na unasupport huyu jamaa, we should be able to say don't take that soda. Why should we not be able to say ile siku nyingine alikuwa huko nilisikia alipewa sijui mapesa zingine za kampani zingine hapo, sitaki kuzitaja saa hizi mimi, lakini hizo kampuni tunazijua. It means they are supporting him. Why should we continue supporting their products to support a tyranny or support a dictator who is sabotaging our economy? So those strategies of economic sabotage should be applied so that they also feel the pain and so that we may share this pain equally. I'm so humbled for the time granted to me to make my humble submissions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wakili. Sante sana. That one needs some break. I mean, I've learned a lot of things about your submission. We are a country that is carrying debt that we don't know what it is paying for, who borrowed the debt, and why. Someone asked me the other day that the government is not creating jobs. The government does not create jobs. The government creates an enabling environment for you to create a job. Kazi ya serikali ni kukupatia environment poa ndio ufanye kazi. Serikali ikiandika daktari, haija create kazi ya daktari. Imeandika huyo daktari asaidie serikali ku create enabling environment ya mtu kufanya kazi. So that ukikuwa mgonjwa ukifanya kazi, unaenda kwa hospitali ya serikali, unatibiwa, ndio urudi ufanye kazi. Ukifanya kazi unakuwa productive, then the government comes and tells you, ulienda kwa hospitali yetu, hebu lipa hii tax. Essentially, haufai kulipa pesa kwa hospitali kwa sababu unalipa tax. So kazi ya serikali ni kukupatia the right environment ya wewe kufanya kazi. And when you work, that's when you create a job. For example, kama wewe ni engineer, that is your work. Uko na skill ya engineering. So una create kampuni yako ya kutengeneza bridge. So kwa hiyo kampuni yako utaandika watu, au watu umewapatia job. So your work has created a job. So serikali kazi yake ni kucreate environment ndio wewe ufanya nini, thrive, ukwe productive. So when you are productive, ndio serikali inakuja nasema, jo hapo umekuwa productive, hebu nipatie hata 10%. Lakini tuko na serikali yenye inakuitisha 10% hata kama hujakuwa productive. So serikali kama hiyo tunaita predatory government. It is like a predator, ni kama vampire. Aioni ukifanya kazi, uko nyumbani umekaa. Lakini inakuambia file returns. How do you file returns na unataka kazi? Inakuambia file nil returns. Sasa walikuwa wamefika ile level ya wanataka kuangalia kwa M-Pesa yako. Mimi nimekuja kwa inbox yangu, umesema umelala njaa. Nimekutumia 200 ili ujisupport. Wanaingia kwa M-Pesa yako wanasema ulipata 200. So kwa hiyo 200 tupatie shilingi 20. Usipopeana hiyo shilingi 20 by 30th of June, wanakufungulia mashtaka. Ile siku utapata job, unaletewa barua unasema haukulipa tax miaka fulani na tunakuitisha penalty ya 80,000. That is predatory government. And we must stand up against this predatory behavior ya serikali yenye tuko nayo saa hii. We must stand. That's why wakili amesema we keep the fire burning. Na kuna strategies mingi. Kuna watu wata protest, kuna watu huko nje, kuna watu wata raise heat hapa kwa digital platforms, kuna watu wata boycott, kuna watu watakuwa na slow inatoja wata go slow. Kesho madaktari wanaenda MOH. It's part of the revolution. Siati mna separate, mnasema hao ni madaktari. Madaktari wanaenda MOH kesho Afya House. Inafaa wale wenye watakuwa waende wa support. That is just putting the pressure. Na aim ya madaktari ni moja. Ni kupoke holes kwa hiyo cabinet, kwa sababu hiyo cabinet iko na watu filthy. Jana mwana cabinet secretary fulani ameshikwa huko na bibi ya mtu, amepigwa mangumi. How can a whole cabinet secretary, ule ambaye anabeba value ya country yetu, unapatikana kwa hoteli na bibi ya mtu, unapigwa mangume huko na unaibishwa huko? So it is not true that the president is saying ati cabinet yake ni safi. It is dirty, and I think this is the worst cabinet secretary in the cabinet office in the history of this country. Hata ya Moi haikuwa mbaya hivyo ya 1990. So Tontenas, you said you want to sing something. Can you sing something as we take a cup of water, a glass of water, and then we come back?
Yes, sir. I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. Introduce yourself.
Yes,
you are a young man. You're a Gen Z. How is music?
Really. I'm not a Gen Z per se. I'm a millennial.
All right.
Yeah, my name is Alan Shioso, but you can simply call me Shio. That's easy.
Yes.
I'm a performing artist under this entity called Tontenas Entertainment.
All right.
And basically, I do advocacy through performing art. That is playwriting, acting, directing, music directing, and singing.
All right.
So today I'll do an original piece.
Before you go to the original piece, how is the environment? Is the government giving you a good environment to escalate your talent?
Not really per se, because as an artist, I believe change can only come through structures.
Yes.
And so far, we don't have structures. Even when we try to put up suggestions, they are not being followed to the core. So I believe the best way is having structures that will elevate the creative economy.
All right.
And so that artists can be sustainable. And I'm on course doing that under Kenya Cultural Center, incorporating Kenya National Theatre. And I hope for starters, this blueprint that I'm trying to put across will make sense, because my passion is creating a sustainable environment for the creative economy. Because as a practitioner in the theatre space, as a performer, it's really hard. At the moment, even since COVID came in, it has been worse. But we keep on pushing. Yes.
All right. What about Talantahela? There's something called Talantahela.
Talantahela, from my point of view, I've only seen its impact on the awarding of thespians under Kenya Theatre Awards. So far, that is what I've seen. But from my point of view, I feel awarding theaters at an accolade point of view is not really sustainable. We need programs under the Kenya Cultural Center, for example, for the thespians, that have structure that can be funded and bring artists on board so that we shape their talents according to art and culture in this country. And in the same way, I believe art and culture is not more of tribe. We can commercialize our ethnicities positively, and create a unity of purpose.
Right, go on, take it over.
Yeah, so this is a rendition of an original on YouTube called Loudest, basically being vocal on matters social, political, and economic matters. But I'll do the vocal part of it. There's the original piece is incorporated with other artists, and it's more of pop and street sound. So stay tuned for Sema Tena. Tunasakanya kado wanatuibia, tunapigania wax wanatukazia, wanadai tuko free wametukalia, pesa zilingia bank zikadisapia. Mwananchi yuko njaa, mwenyekiti amekaa akisinzia parliament. Ufisadi umejaa, wa maombi wamekaa wakingojea ka sacrament. So potelea pote kama chwani kwa mkono ya polisi traffic. Jam ni kokote, una haki kwa mikono ya polisi culprit. Hey, kula mali ya umma kwa ofisi. Tai juu ya kitambi ni ofisi. Tunashika tunachoma mwizi. Kumbe kuna mwingine kwa ofisi. Mlishasema ni wakati wa kutenda. 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 Unapenda mnene juu anakupa vinene. Miaka 5 mitini juu utamwona kwa teli. Kuongeza madeni mifuko ndefu karele. Mpeleke kotini atatoka na deni. Jukani kesi hakuna za wadosi. Nimewadadisi amnaga mikosi. Mnaiba mnasema ni mokozi. Wananchi wakiteta mnawaita mapolisi. Yo Sanseni Samesi unajua ni usanii tu. Sanseni Samesi unajua ni kuimba tu. Usinipinye hapo, usinipinye hapo. Mlishasema ni wakati wa kutenda. 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 Thank you.
Thank you very much. Where are you? Where's your studio? Where can people get you? Because your songs sound to be revolution songs. And I'm sure as we go on with this revolution, we want more of these songs. Where can we get you?
On social media or the physical studio?
Physical studio.
Physical studio, currently we are at Kitengela.
Yes.
Sherman Road behind Eastmart.
All right.
Yeah, that is where the basic, the physical studio is. But on social media platforms, you can find us on Tontenas. And we occasionally hold shows at Kenya National Theatre.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Can we have Milton? Milton?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, Amerix.
Yes.
I'm so happy that you decided to host this. You know, so many people didn't know the guy who actually started this movement. They've been really searching. And even your followers, most of them didn't realize when this thing started. Because it was deep. Someone once posted a speech of President Uhuru some time back. Many didn't understand it, and someone said that hii ni watu wenye wamepata B- kwenda juu. Wengine wangoje bloggers wawa explainie. So on this conversation, the first thing before I even continue much, you also need to balance between our watu wenye wana verified, our watu wenye kuko chini. Tumezoea kuona wanasiasa and wherever in the public platform. These other people can also give you different opinions because they're in the different part of the country, bringing up this assembly. It's like assemblies in different parts of the country. So my main issue, or the first thing I've been thinking about is, I think we need a referendum in this country. Because we need to reduce salaries of MPs, like the ones like Peter Salasia here. We need to reduce their salaries. Why should we pay a member of parliament almost 1 million Kenyan shillings a month and they don't even make any laws? Yeah? Why should we have a women representative? I can dare say all the women representatives, ever since we started devolution, none of them has ever come up with a bill to support anything about girl child. We don't need them. What are they doing? They're just earning salaries for nothing. Yeah? The other thing, nominations of different posts in the political space must have a meaning. Because in this past election, most parties, people just nominated their girlfriends, and it is in the public domain. If people know that nani alikuwa anamfieka, wakamweka. They have nothing but walifinywa huko kwa county assembly. Sana county assembly ndo hao mabigi kwa parties walieka girlfriends wao. And people know it, and it is so sad. People earning money, they don't bring any bill that changes the government, the lives of the ordinary citizens. So my first thing is, venye mtu kama Raila alikuwa analeta hiyo referendum ya BBI nini, aleta referendum ya kutoa salaries zao, say, from those 800 and wherever, or we the people, we can bring a referendum through a representative, we can have signatures and all that. Once the IBC is constituted, we need to have a referendum. Because we cannot be paying people all this money and we are not getting anything worth of our money. Ever since, for example, someone like Salasia, I like how he does his things, but the work of a member of parliament is to make laws. The work, then our members of parliament makes people think that their work is to handle the CDF. They are just patrons. Each and every constituency has someone called constituency development, the fund manager, who are wanaitwa fund manager. They are the people employed by the national government, and they're not even employed by these politicians. Wao wanakuwa employed kama wafanyikazi wengine wa serikali. These are the people who should be doing everything. An MP anaweza peleka tu proposal like mnijenge barabara kutoka hapa hadi hapa hivi na hivi. But people think that CDF is the work of a member of parliament. It is not. So if your parliamentarian or your member of parliament up to this moment has not brought any constructive bill to the house, you should send that warthog home. Don't tell me that this guy ati anafanya kazi mzuri kwa ground. Hiyo ni kazi ya CDF board. Yes, MPs are just patrons, but because of the vultures and dictators they make you guys feel like it is them doing everything. It is not them. This is the job of those fund managers pale chini. Ni ile cause wao wanaogopa wanasiasa wanashindwa kufanya something against them, but members of parliament wanakuwa tu patron wa hizo nini. So we need to reduce salaries of a member. MCA anafaa kuearn at most 70,000. A member of parliament, people like Akina Salasia, they should be earning 200,000 maximum. Yes, the president should not earn more than 500,000 in this economy. Yani tunaomba pesa, yeye mwenyewe anakuja juzi anasema tunaomba 1 trillion. Tunaomba aje 1 trillion tukulipe mshahara ya hizo millions. Why are we paying them? Why are we paying spouses of these guys? They said that they are not going to allocate funds to these people. How are we going to know that they are not going to allocate funds? Yeah? How are we going to know that they are not allocating funds to those people? Yeah. He said that during his last speech, he said that they are going to reduce advisors by half.
Yes.
Atatoa list ya majina ya watu wenye anaenda kureduce. Hizi vitu tu ni PR. You get, huh?
Yes.
Hizi vitu ni PR. Another thing I wanted to say, I've talked about referendum, I've talked about salaries, and there's something that came into my mind when Ombachi was talking.
Yes.
I need him to, if he was a good student of the posts, Amerix who had a post, he could have known that he's also been working with very bad people. First of all, Safaricom has not been good. See, him and Amanda wamekuwa wabaya. They've been bad. So he was also working with very bad people. He needs to know that. Secondly, he's working with even Royco. Royco is killing our people. It is the truth. It's just like this Colgate, this Coca-Cola. You get, huh? Any fluoridated toothpaste in Atumiza, we don't need to work with them. We can find ways of earning in other places. The other thing, before I finish, just having 2 points and then I finish, is that most of our MPs, they just get elected to loot. You get, huh? Wao wanatakanga tu kuloot. And this culture pia huwa sisi tunaileta kama wananchi. Ukiona mbunge wako anapita unataka 500, 200, hiyo pesa atakutolea wapi kama sio kukuibia? Atakuibia. And then akisha kuibia atataka aingie huko, akiingia atarudisha na interest. Ndio maana unaona wanaweka mabibi zao, because bibi alichukua loan kwao, sister yake fulani alichukua loan job, ndio wamfund a campaign. The other thing which many people fear talking about, and I've been seeing it in Kenya for a very long time, is we as a country, we have a national intelligence service. And I tend to feel our governments who wanatumia NIS to manage politics of the country, something that should not be happening. Unasikia, I have the information. In the last government, before William came in, Kimani Chungwa was so fond of attacking NIS. He seemed to be having a lot of information. And I'm like, we shouldn't be managing politics with NIS. Let them do their job. Let them protect our country. But they should not be put into this problem of managing our politics. And before I finish, I want to congratulate someone like Cyprian Nyakundi. Cyprian Nyakundi made Safaricom and even like Cheza Games, this company, they'd taken billions from Kenyans. He won a case that these guys get back, like refund billions of money. So when people are saying, oh, this and this, we need also to check on such. And we cannot support same sides all the time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
all right,
thank you.
Oh, bless you. Rosalind Wanjiru, I have not seen women here coming. This is not a masculinity space. This is a citizens' assembly. I want to see more women here, because I wrote yesterday that any combat, as long as women are giving us the buffer zone, that combat will be successful. I want to see more women here talking. I want to see their animation, their vocals here, and raising the stakes in this revolution combat. Rosalind.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I honestly didn't think that I'd get the mic this fast, but thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight. I think the breadth and the depth of the thought that we have is quite robust for us to think through going forward. And we have valid points, even as we think about taking this revolution even beyond the streets, right? So I'm going to make my contribution. How much time do I have? I think I'll try to keep it to 3 minutes.
Yeah, 3 minutes will be fine. We'll be giving you 3 minutes. 3 minutes, then Kimuzi, 3 minutes, Bravin, 3 minutes. I've seen Mora here, 3 minutes. Right, go on.
Okay, great. We've focused heavily on the aspect of governance. And earlier on, as I was thinking about the aspect of money, I came across a statistic that we had an undersubscription to the bonds. It was coming to about 2%. And that is one of the ways in which Kenyans have indicated a certain level of confidence declining in the government's long-term commitment, right? So this shows that we need to vote with our money. And what do I mean with this? If the Kenya shilling is losing value, how can we collectively keep highlighting the things that we care about? I followed a lot of the discussions that you hold on the Masculinity Saturday to do with health. And if people spend on things that devalue their health, it shows that we are not valuing our health. If we spend on things that are not forwarding our collective strength intellectually, mentally, professionally, it shows that we're not valuing ourselves. So it comes back to the money. We need to ask the questions about the money, where it's going, where it's being spent, how it's being spent, and how we can vote with our money. We've seen for example, Safaricom being one of the institutions that is a gap in terms of internet connectivity. The space has dropped severally, which has been frustrating. And I know as we as we converse on how to participate more in Starlink, we will know that digital connectivity is not a thing we can compromise on going forward. In terms of Parliament, unfortunately, we've seen the problems of committees and overregulation. This needs to end, because for businesses which are not able to plan for 5-10 years, thinking in terms of continuity and sustainability in the country, this has to be a thing of the past. We can't keep revising our plans, revising our budgets, and revising our compliance every year. That should end with this, hopefully, revolution as we think about building sustainable businesses in Kenya. Thirdly, it's that in terms of the money, we need to rethink how we are investing, how we are saving. If we're all saving in for example, banks and money market funds, and yes, these have been valuable, but if we are not getting returns that are above the rate of inflation, we are losing in as much as we are trying to work harder. The problem with printing currency, and as we've seen this with the US dollar, is that the height of dollar printing has gotten its debt level to 34.8 trillion USD, and this is the highest it has been in history. So if the money is cheap and the debt is too high, then development is out of the question. Essential spending on healthcare, energy, and infrastructure that improves the lives of people goes down the drain, and this is where politics tends to reign. So for Kenya, we're seeing the similar problem in terms of the currency going down in value, the printing is going up, and this is what's killing our productivity. So we need to rethink how we are saving, how we are investing, because unless we can beat the depreciation, we are collectively losing in a way that we can't even begin to fathom. Lastly, it's that in the problem and in regard to real estate, that's one of the key pillars that is connected even to identity as Kenyans. We want to own, we want to own a piece of the land, somewhere to call home, somewhere to be grounded, somewhere to be connected to our families. It's so vital, but the current political system is putting that ownership in compromise. We've seen too many funds looted going directly to real estate. I thought, and I kept asking myself, why is it that millions that are looted, billions that are missing, and we keep seeing palatial homes, we keep seeing new estates, new apartments, and new flats? Why is this a pattern? The fact is that it's another way that is killing our collective productivity, because if we as a majority of Kenyans are earning less than 100,000 shillings or less than 150,000 shillings, when will we afford a real estate demand or pricing of 5 million, 10 million, 15 million shillings? And this is minus furnishing, minus the long-term goals that we want. We need to rethink the money, because this is where our collective strength is being sapped. And if we can see this conversation in terms of the future and in terms of breaking away from what has been expected of us, then we do have a shot at doing this differently. So allow me to just sum that up right there, and I'll summarize some of these thoughts in the comment section.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was brilliant. Brilliant. Mora. Shanky, they have said you should sing, and if you sing, they'll sleep. I don't know why they don't like you. Mora?
Thank you so much, Amerix, for this space.
Yes.
I don't have much to say, but I just want to talk about two things. The first thing is, I think we're not talking so much about education, because a couple of years ago, maybe 3 years ago, somebody in campus will pay 30,000, 40,000, and then suddenly they're required to pay around 250,000. In as much as we have inflation, I think there's just something that the government is not telling us about. Either they don't want people in this era to go to school, they don't want people to be educated so that they may question their expenditures and stuff like that. Another thing that I want to also talk about is, I think something like Kenya Power, it needs to be disbanded, first of all, totally. Because, for instance, a week ago, I will buy tokens. 1,000 bob probably will give me around 48 units. Today, it's giving me 38 units. Either they're eating our money, and I do understand that Ruto, I'll call him Ruto, he has these guys over there and he doesn't want to let them go. Probably he's getting a cut out of what they're making. And then another thing that I also want to say is the big problem with this government, either Ruto has bad advisors or he's not taking their advice. Because for heaven's sake, if you have an advisor like Devin D, what do you expect? Totally nothing. Devin D, the only thing that he wants to do is just to eat and get fat and then abuse people online. So I think that we should continue with this revolution. And my big issue is education. I think that is where I want us to talk about so much.
Thank you.
Education, because it's become too expensive. I think more than 50% will not go to campus this year because it's too expensive.
Yeah.
And most people are relying on, you'll get families depend on their kids to go to campus to liberate them from poverty. Yes. And if they cannot acquire that education, then that means they'll continue living in dire poverty.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
That's all that I wanted.
Thank you very much. I just want to say something about education. Nataka msikie vizuri. Juzi mulisikia cabinet secretary mwenye anadeal na mambo za prisons akisema prisoners wataanza kulipa tax. Na hamkuelewa ni nini anasema. Kitu inafanyika hapa ni kwamba they make education expensive. Usifikie we kama mtu wa mtaa. So education ikiwa expensive hautaenda shule. Kama utaenda shule hautapata opportunity ya kupata job na nini na vitu kama hizo. So utajipata at a disadvantaged position. So utashikwa, labda umepatikana unaloita unatafuta kazi ama unapatikana umefanya crime because lazima uishi. Utashikwa, upelekwe prison, uambiwe sasa juu wewe umeshikwa utalipa tax. Prisoners walipa tax. Na hiyo tax mnajua inatoka wapi? Hiyo tax ni wewe unaenda kufanya kazi kwa kampuni za wazungu. Zimeandikwa kazi Kenya, kujenga manyumba, kujenga mabarabara na kujenga nini. Ukishatoka prison unaambiwa ile pesa yenye ungelipwa, ingine tulipa tax na ingine tulijenga hizo manyumba na vitu kama hizo. That is what they are planning. Hiyo ndio ile book ya the capitalists. That's what they do. To keep young men in prison so that they can get cheap labor. Na kama hamsimami kusema education ikuwe accessible. Hata katiba inasema education must be accessible to each and everyone, every citizen. Why are they making education so expensive to all of us? Education inafaa ikuwe kitu ya kila mtu. Saizi CBC is very expensive. Mtoto anaenda shuleni na vitabu 10. Mtoto wa class 2 anaendanga grade 2 ama grade whatever. Amebeba vitabu anakuja anafanya assignment nyumbani usiku analala saa 4. Mtoto wa miaka 9. And that education is expensive. And the people we took to parliament to talk about this are not talking about it. Juzi kumekuwa na kesi kotini ya CBC. Task force ilundwa hapa ya CBC hatukusikia ilisema nini. So education is going to be expensive as long as World Bank and World Economic Forum and IMF wametushikilia shingo, life inaenda kuwa hard. That's what tumesema third liberation is economic liberation. Lazima tujiliberate tuko independent. Agriculture iko yetu. Manufacturing sector iko yetu. Kila kitu iko yetu. Ukimaliza shule unafanya kazi hapa Kenya. Because Kenya iko na ability na capacity ya kujisimamia. Kimuzi.
Shukran Amerix. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, go on.
Thank you so much for unblocking me. First and foremost, I'm not the enemy. Enemy ni Ruto. After 4 years, nimetoka Mexico. And funny enough, hata Nyakundi alikuwa ameniblock and I'm not the enemy. The enemy is this Ruto. So I want just to talk about youth unemployment because I'm really passionate about youth unemployment. And just to echo on what you have just been saying right now is a quality education. Like quality education is a requirement even by the UN. unajua the SDGs, people should be knowing about the SDGs. Kuna SDGs 17 and quality education, gender, clean water and sanitation, all these iko infrastructure, energy, it's there. People should be learning about sustainability. For a nation to become sustainable, we should be having these bare minimum things. But Ruto's government is frustrating people. Another thing I want to talk about is justice. Hii ndio ni kitu nataka kuongelea kabisa, ikuwe the first one. Mi sitaki hao polisi, I'll just mix. Sitaki hao polisi wa get away with this murdering of innocent individuals. Personally, I know the family through a friend, the family of Eric Chieni. And it was so painful, their story. Ukisikia their story, actually they were requesting to have a space of the victims just to rant to talk about how it's affecting them because it's from their own perspective. Tusikize uchungi hao because people really underrate. And that's why, like, nasikia ni huyo polisi akionekana mali yako, like, we should all these people accountable. Ruto should do something about these people. It's becoming normal. We're actually normalizing killing of protesters in Kenya. Baby Pendo alipotezwa 2017 during the protest Watoi. Juzi kuna mtu ameshutiwa. Watu, they are losing their lives. It's no longer peaceful. Huko Maliniko, actually Maliniko, I have gone to protest in this country na hakuna mahali wanatumia excessive force. It's actually like the kind unaenda concert ndio ni protest. That's actually something that should be implemented. You're number one, justice for the victims of the family. Like lazima they pay justice. Number two, I just want to talk about Mali. You guys know I was the biggest supporter of this regime, but Mali tulitokana na hii regime ni youth unemployment na the galana kulali, food security. We cannot be talking about food insecurity in a country and yet we have galana kulalu. I actually have a whole file ya watu walikuwa Israel wenye waliletwa training wako Kenya unemployed, more than 800 people, their names, their occupation, be it an agronomist, be it an agricultural engineer, be it agribusiness, be it agricultural, be it a food nutrition, who you are food to, you understand what I'm saying? Be it a person of horticulture, be it floriculture. I have all these people, all their files. But what is the government doing? Wanapea watu wadosi kazi huko juu agriculture. Actually, it is so shameful that someone was coming from this place and they are discussing very important aspects of engineering. Alafu watu wako panel, they don't understand what they are saying and they were like, mnafanya nini hapa kama mwelewi? And one thing now, sitete wazungu, they are bullshit wote. But nasema they really value competency. Ukienda table na wewe ni engineer, umesema wewe ni civil engineer, you should prove that you are a civil engineer. Personally, I'm an employed, miserable, and registered engineer because of all that is going on in Kenya. But what I'm saying, Kenya doesn't value meritocracy. Ndio maana tuko nao mafala pale huko juu. And before I come to youth unemployment, Yamuisha, I just want to talk of something that has affected me yesterday and the other day, and people are thinking that we are on this or anything. It's about the betrayal, and it's an issue. Tumeamua saizi it's an issue, na nimesikia Ombachi akiongelea it's an issue or anything, and even Nyakundi Ombachi was bashing you, and I am actually concurring with Ombachi because back in the time Nyakundi, unajua chenye ulikuwa unafanya, and we both know tunasema ukweli, we both know ulikuwa unakubali kununulia na Safaricom and that such, but it's a thing of the past. Now the enemy is Ruto. Hata Otero iliniumiza personally because we were supposed to co-host a space a space concurrent na ile ingine parallel, but I don't know why he did that. Like, it really hurted me. I don't know, area hata them to cheat on you because unaweza pata dem mwingine, but for a man, the biggest pillars that define a man is trust, loyalty, and integrity. You should never break that. Money can never buy such. Money can never bring back lost lives. What Osama did, he derailed this movement, but sasa tumerudi na ubaya. Today I was really happy that naona watu wametokelezea Saba and the movement, Amerix to make a space, the movement is back. We have forgotten about Otero. It's kind of personal for me because saidi hata watu wanadhani I was paid. Yes, I was paid. I was paid because of, I was paid na hatred. I am paid by the loss. I have this government. I'm paid by the misery nimepitia na hii government ndio nikatoka hiyo nchi. Mimi sitaki kuwadanganya, singeaitoka Kenya, but ilibidi nimetoka because of what I saw and what I'm going through it. The youth unemployment. Guys, people don't know people. The youth, we are losing the youth in Kenya to alcohol, misery, gambling because of being unemployed. Personally, I know people wenye Amerix amesema saizi ukisoma nje, ukisoma Kenya, represent Kenya in your own country. The countries like Israel, let me talk about here. Countries like Israel, if you go to Ivy League universities, they take back their students like 95% absorption rate. And that's why only Tel Aviv iko na almost more than 10,000 startups. It's a startup nation. It has more than 10,000 startups because they really fund these people. But what's happening to our government? Mbona Ruto siweke tu some nini ya kupea research facilities? There is a student in electrical engineering, UN, ikiwa alikuwa here ahead of me, aliunda a voting system ya blockchain. Mbona hakuwa ifandiwa hiyo kitu iwekwe ikuwe kaya IBC ya Kenya? Why? Because we don't value our education system. We value watu waheshimiwa wako wamejaa sijui KPLC, wamejaa Kenyan, wamejaa wapi. Me personally, I used to live in Roysambu, Red Plate. People know me from that. Hata Mora mwenye ameongea sasa hivi. I know her personally, she knows me. Tuliishi Ngara tukiteseka. Youth unemployment ni mbaya sana. Unapata watu wakiwa kegdens, not because they are in kegdens. Wanakunya because of they cannot stomach what's going on in their lives. They have done, it's really miserable to work hard all, just to Amerix, 2 minutes more. It's all, ni kitu mbaya sana to work, to struggle all your life and not to get the fruits. Ni mbaya sana kupanda, tuseme saizi umepanda kitu kaa pilipilio because I'm a farmer. Umepanda pilipilio alafu isitoe mazao. Ni mbaya sana na umepeleka hadi huko juu. So sisi hatuna mazao, mbona ujae engineer ujaze graduates into the field na hana mazao? So what I'm trying to talk about, the government should create an environment, umesema, the government should not provide the jobs. The government should provide an environment, the security, the finances to these people so that nataka watu feel the pain because I've been talking about employment kaya daktari. I used to say back in 2020 there are doctors that are unemployed. But people couldn't believe. But now, watu wanaona kuna doctors wenye wako unemployed. So this is a very big issue. I need us to move on forward. Forget about traitors. Tuendelee na hiki. You should be activism. The last thing I want to say, activism should never and ever be paid. It's priceless. You should lose your life because of activism. Pambana hadi mwisho hata ukishikia kisu. Thank you.
Asante sana. So we only have 7 minutes, and I'm going to give Diana Ocheng. Diana Ocheng?
Hi, I'm here.
Yes, I'm giving you 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity.
Just psych up the movement.
Asante.
Yes.
I'm Diana Wakili, and I'm just here to reiterate what Willis and my fellow council say.
All right.
What we're experiencing over here, guys, as much as it was the finance bill, true, the finance bill is going to pass come 14th of July. That comes with a lot of issues. The National Land Commission, the CS being given the power that used to be given to the land acquisition, to the NLC for compulsory land acquisition, the Data Protection Act, ile ukienda out, umeenda Milan, umeenda Oyster Bay, spend 10K.
Right.
Next week, what is it? And one thing people have said, the power is ours. Article 1 of the Constitution says power is either given directly or indirectly. What we did, as we said, we went and took our power. Parliament. Okay, right now we're calling for IBC reforms and a National Transitional Committee.
Yes.
I just want to put it across to people. As we're calling for Ruto to form all this, me personally, there's no way Ruto can be overseeing the committee that is going to still have his hands inside the cookie jar. And one thing that I want has been mentioned, I was in another space with Kimuzi, and somebody who funded Ruto's campaign really aliangusha sense hapo na akasema, if we really want this thing, our elections attached the IBC servers. I'll just put it over there. Why haven't the servers been accessible to us all these years? If our voice is truly in our kura and our voters card, tutaenda tupige kura alafu tena tuibe tuseme tena tumeoshwa tujam tuseme wafungue servers wakatae. guys, this is irrelevant, but I was in Baba's legal team. And I don't tell you, those servers are really key. Those servers, if we're really to champion for a better thing, if the result can be streamed and we can see, why can't they also open the servers if the servers are clean? I have a suspicion that ile siku tutaifungua hizo servers, tunaweza shtuka as a country. Right. So as we push for the agenda, also that's one agenda that we should have on the table.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Eric,
Ravin?
I just have 2 minutes.
Ravin? Ravin disappeared. So who is that?
It's me, Eric.
Yes?
It's Elvis.
Yes, Elvis, giving you 2 minutes.
Hi, Eric.
Yes, go on.
Thank you for the space. So for me, I'll just go straight to the point, and it's about the hallucinations that the president has been peddling around about jobs abroad. And I want to tell everybody who is listening here that it's a big lie. There's no deal is going out there to make about the jobs abroad. As you all know, for those who follow the news, I'm sure you've heard about the G7 countries. That is, we've made our politics so lucrative. Tell me why an MP or a president is going to use 150 billion to campaign to become president to earn a salary of 1 million. It doesn't really make sense.
Yes.
And that is where the problem is, because these guys are being funded by crooks outside there, and they have to reward them with kickbacks and all sorts of crimes, like economic crimes. And this is how we found ourselves in this mess at the moment, because those who funded them have to get kickbacks.
All right. I'm sorry we have to end it there, but we can now stand up for the national anthem, because that is what binds us together as a country, and that's what we
This is the time that Kenya is facing a revolution that is very peaceful and with a little blood that is going to be shed.